Let us discuss about what is object-oriented modeling and design and why we need this object-oriented modeling and all in this presentation. Under this, before starting your syllabus, you have to study 3 more chapters which is not in your syllabus but which are the basic things in order to understand your syllabus. Coming to the unit 1 or the chapter 1 which you have to study for your syllabus purpose is the introduction. Let us see what is object oriented and what are the models and why we need those models and what are the features that are provided by object oriented modeling and design. Coming to the introduction, object oriented, it is like just an way in order to give a solution on or in order to provide you a solution using some models which are designed in order to solve a problem which is of a real concept. If you have a real concept or a real problem, then you can go for a model building and based on that model you can solve your problems. The basic construct here is the object. If you have an object, you can build a model where this object is nothing but an thing which combines both the data structures, means it combines both the data and the behavior of the entity or behavior of that particular data in order to build a model. So here analysis model is nothing but a model which is built to abstract the essential aspects of application domain, which contains objects found in application and their properties and their behavior. We have one model which is called as analysis model, where it will be having its own domain, objects, and also the behavior and properties of the particular application. Why we need to design this model is in order to optimize the implementation and in order to have the solution in a faster manner. Finally, designing a model is implemented using some language, that is our programming language or database language, or by using some hardware language. So it will be done using programming language. We may use graphical notations for expressing what is this object and how it is related for the other object or to the model. So here we may use programming language and also along with that we may use graphical notation in order to express how it is related. Let us see what is object oriented concepts. In this first, let us see what the general definition of object in the class. Coming to the definition of one object, object is like an physical entity which is present in the universe, which has an existence, is called as an object. In the programming terms, if I say in programming terms, it is a component or a object which has properties and some methods which are required in order to make use of that object. Object is called as an instance to a class or instance of a class. Coming to the class, where class is defined as a blueprint or some set of protocols which the object has to be built, in which way the object has to be built. So it is some set of instruction. In programming terms, a class is a way in order to bind the data and the function into a single one, where it will bind, means which combines both the data and the functions into a single unit. Here, class is an abstraction which describes the properties of an object. The class which describes the properties of an object, where object is an instance of a class. Coming to the class. For example, here I have considered human being as a class. See here, I have considered human being as a class where I have body parts as an instance, hands, legs, etc., eyes, etc. And there are some certain of functions like walk, talk, see, eat, etc. This could be a main function. I can call another class called as either male class or female class. So these could be the subclasses. This would be the coming to the object. For accessing the class, I have to create a object. Here I am calling a male class. So I am creating a object of Abhishek type male. So here for the class I am creating an object. In order to access these functions or these data sets, I am creating an object. Coming to the differences between the class and the object. What are the differences between the class and the object? Coming to the definition, as the definition says, where class which binds the data and the associated methods or the functions into a single thing, where object is just an variable or instance of a class. Existence, coming to the existence, where class is logically existing, object is an physical existence. Coming to the memory allocation, for class the memory is not required or not allocated when it is created, but for the object, when we create an object, the space or the memory will be allocated when an object is created. Coming to the declaration and definition, definition will be created once the class is created. Coming to the object, it is required many times as we require it. So these are the differences among the class and the object. Let us see what is object oriented or object orientation. Let us see how the object orientation is defined. The term object orientation, which is defined as we organize a software as a collection of discrete objects which incorporate both the data structure and the behavior. Here the behavior could be of your operations. It is nothing but how the software is nothing but the collection of some objects, and how it is like the behavior and data are incorporated or binded. That is called as your object oriented. We have some certain of objects and we have some data and behavior. So we are combining those into as a software. That is called as your object oriented. And you have some general characteristics which are given or required by an object oriented are your identity, classification, inheritance and the polymorphism. Let us see in detail about these characteristics. Coming to the first one, that is your the first property or the characteristic of object oriented is identity. Let us see what is identity. Identity means it should be unique. As we all know, each one of us itself unique. In the same way, the objects what we are creating for a particular thing should be identity. Means which it should have some unique way of representation. So, identity means the data which is quantized or organized into the discrete or distinguishable entities are called as objects. Identity is nothing but an object creation. Objects can be concrete. It could be, if it is of a concrete, means like files in a file system. If it is of conceptual, means we are scheduling the policies in a multiprocessing operating system. Conceptual means I'll tell this process has to go first and has to execute, then the process 2. So that is your conceptual method. In concrete, while storing a file or while accessing the file in a file system. Each object has its own inherent identity. In other words, two objects are distinct, as I've told already, even if their attributes are and values also identical, but the two objects should be different. In the real world, an object simply exists, but within a programming language, each object has a unique handle by which it can be referenced. In the real world, stone could be some object, but in the programming language, each object has its unique way of handling it. How could be that object is referenced? Languages which are implemented in order to handle these type of objects such as an address or array index or artificial number could be used. Let us see next characteristic, that is your classification. This is based on classification. The name itself says that we are classifying into a group here, which means the objects with the same data structure or the behavior are grouped into a class, particular class. A class like paragraph, monitoring or chess pieces which are of black and white, the color of black chess pieces are grouped into one and the color with white are grouped into one. These are the examples for the classification purpose. A class is an abstraction which describes the property and ignores the rest, which are not important to an application. Any choice of classes is arbitrary and it depends on the application. Each class, where it describes possibly infinite set of objects, individual objects could be defined. An object has its own value for each attribute but shares the attribute names operations with other instead. There will be a sharing among the objects. An object contains an implicit reference to its own class, which is also knows what kind of thing it is. Object itself knows what the thing it is. See, how can the object in the class could be related? See here, I have some polygon objects like a rectangle, parallelogram, trapezoid. Here the classes could be like under the classes I have created attributes and the operation. Under attributes I have vertices, border and the color. How many vertices it could contain, what is the type of the border and what is the color of this particular rectangle. What are the operations that can be done for these types of objects? I can draw a rectangle or I can erase a parallelogram or I can move a parallelogram. So these are the operations that could be done for these objects. Let us see what is polymorphism. As the name itself suggests, polymorphism is the same operation but may behave differently for different classes. The same operation could be done for different classes. The move operation, for example, behaves differently for pawn that for the queen in a chess game. That is your example. In a chess game, there are pawns which are all of same, but the thing that differentiates the pawns based on their moves. An operation is a procedure which or transformation that the object performs. Here it is a transition, it is just a procedure or transformation from one thing to the other based on what the object performs. Here for a paragraph I can tell that how it has to be displayed and how the justification should be done. These are all the operations. For example, and that is for an example. Coming to the implementation part, an implementation of this operation by a specific class is called as a method. Method is nothing but how we are going to implement this particular operation. That implementation is called as your method. Because an OVO operator, if an OVO operation is an polymorphic, it may have more than one method in implementing it, each for a different class of objects. So this is about your polymorphism. Let us see what is inheritance. Inheritance means we will be sharing the attributes or like we will be sharing or we will be inheriting some of the properties from the main class. Here from the human being main class, the male class and the female class are inherited the properties that are of like data and the functions are inherited. Inheritance means we will be sharing like attributes and the operations will be shared among the classes based on their hierarchy, like the parent class and the child class, or subclass and the superclass. Here superclass is also called as a parental class, which is it is also called as a general class, from which the subclass or the child class will be inheriting the properties from that superclass. And the subclass, here it is need not to be repeat the features of the superclass. Both subclass inherit the features, and the ability of this factor out common features for several classes into a superclass can greatly reduce the repetition with the designs and programs, and it is one of the main advantage of OO technology. If we inherit some of the properties, it will reduce this in the repetition with the same design or same code. So inheritance helps us in reducing some of the repetitions. So these are the 4 characteristics that are oriented with your object oriented modeling. And next we have how this thing developed, how object oriented developed. The object-oriented development refers to the software lifecycle. As we all know, software lifecycle means it will contain analysis part, design part, and the implementation part. So there are 3 things, that is your software engineering lifecycle or just a software lifecycle. The essence of this object-oriented development is we have to identification and organize the application concepts rather than their final representation. And using this programming language, object-oriented programming language, we were first useful in alleviating the inflexibility of traditional programming languages, alternating the inflexibility, whatever the inflexibility that we faced using traditional programming languages were alternated. And this development is a conceptual process which is independent of a programming language until the final stage. Until the final stage, we can build a model for the particular problem. Until that, we are not bothered about the programming language. Hence, it is a conceptual process which is independent of your programming language. Once we reach the final stage, then we have to decide what programming language has to be used in order to overcome this problem, or which language is suitable for this particular type of solution or the model. OO development is fundamentally, it is a way for which we will be thinking, and it is not a programming technique where it will be just providing as a model or a solution, not the programming technique. It can serve as a medium for specification, analysis, documentation purpose, and interfacing, as well as for programming. Programming is also done, but at your final stage. Next we have object-oriented methodology. Let us see what is object-oriented methodology. It is a process which consisting, like we will be building a model of a application or a problem, and then we will add some details to it. The same seamless notations can be used for analysis in order to design and implement. So the information which are added at the stage one stage of development need not to be lost or translated to the next stage. Here it is a methodology for object orientation development, and a graphical notation could be used in order to show how it is related. And here for object oriented methodology has 5 following stages. The first one is system conception, analysis, system design, class design, and the implementation. Let us see each one in detail. What is system conception? It is a software development which begins with the business analyst, like how the development has to begin. The business analyst, that is your BA or user, convenes an application and formulating tentative requirements. for building a system or for building a model, the BA, that is your business analyst, has to move to your customer side or the needer side in order to uh, take the requirements. Like if I need to build a software, I'll go for the user or the company who is suggesting us to build a software. I'll go to the company and I'll ask like what are the requirements they need, like what type of software they need, what should be the user interface, what type of user interface they need, like all those things. I'll go and I'll collect those requirements. That will be done in your system conception part. The second stage is your analysis. Here, based on the requirement, you will be analyzing. The analyst or the scrutinizer and rigorously restates the requirements from system conception by constructing the model. He may construct one or more models which may suit the problem, but at last he will choose a model which is more convenient or more solution providing or more related towards the problem will be chosen. The analyst must work with the requester in order to understand the problem. He has to understand the problem first, because problem statements are rarely complete or it could be correct. The analysis model is a concise, precise abstraction of what the desired system must do. As I have told, based on the requirement, in the analysis phase, he has to build a model. He is telling here that in this, the analysis model should do what the desired system should do, not how it will be done. And here the analysis model should not contain the implementation decision. Here it should not contain the implementation detail. Here he has to build just a model. The objects in the model should be application domain concepts, not the computer implementation concepts. Here we have two parts, like application model, analysis model could be of two parts, domain model and the application model. Coming to the domain model, it is a description of the real world objects which are reflected within the system. Within the system, only the object would be reflected. Coming to the application model, here it is a description of the parts. Like in a problem or in the requirement, we may have n number of parts. So the description of those parts of the application system, and it should be visible to the user how that particular part has been designed. So that is your application model. Stage, that is your implementation stage. What do you mean by implementation? Implementation is nothing but the object or the classes which have the relationship developed during the design and finally translated into a classes and relationship developed during class into a particular programming language or the hardware implementation. Programming should be straightforward because all of the hard decisions should have already been made. The decision whatever the your designer has taken, that and all has been already taken in the previous stages, so the implementation for the particular problem or the model should be straightforward. Here we have three models. The three kinds of models are used in order to describe a system, that are class model, state model and a interaction model. Here the class model, it is only for the objects in the system and to provide their relationships. The state model here is for the life history of the object. Class is only for the object, state is for the life history, and the interaction model is for the interaction among the objects whatever has been created. Let us see the three models in detail. Coming to the first model, that is your class model, which describes the basic structure of the objects in a system and their relationships, how the object has to be created and what is the structure of that particular object and the relationship among the class and the object. Here it contains, the class model contains the class diagram. Why we need the class diagram? The class diagram is just a graph whose nodes are class and the arcs which are represented to connect the two objects are called as your, which shows the relationship among the classes. Next we have the state model. I have told it is for the history of the, it is for life history of the objects, which describes the aspects of an object that change over the time. Object may change by time as changes. The state model specifies and implements a control with the state diagram. As the class model contains the class diagram, the state model contains the state diagram. The state diagram is nothing but it is also a graph whose nodes are states and whose arcs are the data flow, how the data has to flow from one object to the other object. We have the interaction model. Here, as I have told, it should show the interaction among the objects, how the interaction has to take place. Here it contains three activity diagrams, that is the use case diagram, sequence diagram and the activity diagram. In the use case diagram, the functionality of a system, that is what a system does for users. What system is doing for a particular user has to be shown in your use case. In the sequence, like how the interaction is taking, in what sequence the interaction is taking place between the objects has to be shown in your sequence diagram. Coming to the activity diagram, it elaborates the important processing steps, like what are the steps has to be followed in order to elaborate the particular thing. So the three models are separate parts, but in order to describe a complete system, they are closely linked. The class model is the most fundamental model because it is necessary in order to describe what is changing or what is transforming before describing it. Next we have themes, that is your object-oriented themes. We have several themes. Among those themes, we have 6 themes, that is your abstraction, encapsulation, combining data and behavior, sharing, emphasis on the essence of an object, and the synergy. Let us see the one by one in. What is abstraction? Abstraction is nothing but hiding the details from the outside. Means we are providing the security from the outside. For the data, we are providing security. We are hiding it. We are encapsulating it. That is your abstraction. It focuses on essential aspects of an application while ignoring the details. This means focusing on what object is doing before deciding how to implement. Means what the object should do instead of implementing it. Here the abstraction preserves the freedom in order to take the decision. It provides the user to make decision as long as possible by avoiding some premature commitments. Next we have how the ability of an ability to abstract is probably the most important skill which is required by the object oriented development. So it is an ability of the abstract is probably it is an important thing in the object oriented development. Let us see what is encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but where we will be binding the properties with functions. See here we are binding the body parts with the function. These are the properties and we are binding it. Encapsulation is also called as information hiding, which separates the external aspects of an object which are accessible to other objects from the internal implementation. Encapsulation it also prevents some portion of program from becoming interdependent. So if there is a small change, has massive ripple in the effects. The implementation of this object could be improved by fixing some errors or support porting. We can port the program or we can port the implementation or we can fix a bug. Encapsulation it is not an unique for our object oriented language, but it is an ability. It has an ability in order to combine the data structures in the behavior. Let us see what is combining data and the behavior. Here the caller, we know that there is a caller function and the calling function. The caller of an operation, here it is not considered for the implementation purpose. The operator polymorphism which shifts the like how to decide what has to be implemented and from the calling code. For example, non-OO code, that is your non-object oriented code to be displayed. The contents of a window must distinguish like what a type of figure is, such as either it is a polygon or a circle or it is of a text. It has to be displayed. If I make use of an object oriented program for this particular thing, then I can easily call a draw operation for each figure, so I can implicitly decide what and all has to be implemented. So if I make use of object oriented program, it will be an easy way in order to take decision. So the decision of which procedure to use is made by an object based on the classes which are used, and the maintenance is easier because the calling code need not to be modified when the new class is added. If I add n number of classes, the old class need not to be modified. Coming to the next property or the theme is your sharing. Here sharing, as we all know, the name itself suggests we will be sharing some of the properties or the data among the classes. That is, as we have studied the inheritance. In the inheritance itself, we will be sharing the properties and the behavior or the data among the superclass and the subclasses. That is your sharing concept. The sharing of code using inheritance, it is one of the main advantages of your object-oriented languages. OO development not only lets you share information within an application but also offers the prospect we can use those codes for our further projects. That is one of the major advantage of our object oriented development. Coming to the next property, that is your synergy. Synergy is nothing but identity, classification, polymorphism, what and all the characteristics we have studied is isolated, come together in and they complement other synergistically. The emphasis on this essential properties of the object focuses that the developer has to think more carefully while building a model. The developer has to think how to build a model. So this is your just introduction for your object oriented modeling and the design. In this presentation we have studied what is object oriented, what are the characteristics and what are the themes and what are the type of models that can be used in order to solve a particular problem. Thank you. And in our further presentations, let us have, like in brief, we will be studying about how the classes related to an object, how can we create an object or how can we build a model will be studied in your further chapters.